The rise and controversy of Francis Leo Marcos. In the age of social media, a single video can change a person's life overnight. A message shared online can inspire millions or spark national controversy. One of the most talked about figures to rise from the world of social media in the Philippines is Francis Leo Marcos. But behind this viral name is a man whose real identity is Norman Mangusin. His story is one of sudden fame, public admiration, and eventually, controversy that captured the attention of an entire nation. The story begins long before the viral videos. Norman Mangusin lived most of his life away from the spotlight. Like many Filipinos, he experienced the struggles of everyday life. Details about his early childhood remain limited, but his name would eventually become known across the country under a different identity. That identity was Francis Leo Marcos. Around the years 2019 and 2020, social media platforms, especially Facebook, became the stage where Francis Leo Marcos began sharing his message. In his live streams, he spoke passionately about helping the poor, about generosity, about perseverance, and about believing in oneself despite life's hardships. His words were powerful and emotional. He spoke as if he understood the pain of poverty, the struggle of ordinary people trying to survive each day. For many viewers, his speeches felt real. They felt sincere. They felt inspiring. Soon, people began sharing his videos across social media. His audience grew rapidly. Thousands of viewers turned into hundreds of thousands, and eventually, millions of people were watching his live streams. Supporters believed that Francis Leo Marcos was a wealthy businessman who had achieved success and now wanted to help others. In several videos, he spoke about charity and compassion. He encouraged Filipinos to help one another and reminded them that kindness could change lives. To many followers, he represented hope, a successful man who had not forgotten the poor. But as his popularity grew, so did the attention surrounding his story. Journalists, bloggers, and critics began to look more closely at the claims he made in his videos. Questions began to appear. Who exactly was Francis Leo Marcos? Where did his wealth come from? Was his story true? These questions slowly turned into investigations. In 2020, authorities in the Philippines began examining some of the activities connected to Francis Leo Marcos. Reports surfaced questioning aspects of his background and the statements he made to the public. Soon, the situation escalated. Norman Mangusin, known online as Francis Leo Marcos, was arrested over allegations related to fundraising activities conducted online. The news quickly spread across the country. For supporters, it was shocking. Many people who believed in him defended him passionately on social media. They argued that he was simply trying to inspire people and help those in need. Others, however, criticized him and questioned whether the persona of Francis Leo Marcos had been built on exaggeration or misinformation. The debate divided public opinion. Some saw him as a victim of circumstances. Others believed the controversy was the result of misleading claims. Regardless of which side people believed, one thing was clear. Francis Leo Marcos had become one of the most talked about personalities in the Philippines. His story became a powerful example of how quickly social media fame can rise and how quickly it can fall. In the digital age, a person can gain millions of followers in a matter of weeks. But the same platforms that create fame can also amplify controversy. For many Filipinos, the story of Francis Leo Marcos became a lesson about the power and danger of viral influence. It showed how powerful words can inspire hope, but also how important truth and transparency are in the public eye. Even today, years after his rise to fame, the name Francis Leo Marcos continues to appear in conversations about social media personalities in the Philippines. Some people still remember the motivational speeches that once inspired millions. Others remember the controversy that followed. But regardless of opinion, the story remains one of the most fascinating examples of viral fame in the Philippines. It is a story about influence, a story about belief, and a story about how quickly the internet can turn an unknown person into a national figure. The rise and controversy of Francis Leo Marcos reminds us that in the modern world, the power of social media can change lives in an instant. But with that power also comes responsibility. And sometimes, the truth behind the story can be more complicated than the image we see on our screens.